Do you want to be able to hit high damage crits without being animation locked and early game? Then I have the build for you. What's up, world? We're going over the abilities and spells that I think are going to be the highest damage build in Hogwarts Legacy, early game especially. And if you don't want it to be in any animation locks, if you just want to be spell casting consistently, then this is probably the build for you and probably going to excite you because it's mostly a one-shot build. For the most part, aside from getting like a little bit of prep with one ability, technically I guess you can consider it a two-shot, but it really is just a one-shot. So I'll explain what abilities I use, then I'll explain the talents that correspond to them, and then I'm going to showcase the damage against enemies in the open world, and then I'm going to showcase, last but not least, a footage with a troll that I hit a really high crit on, just kind of showcasing how high of a damage you can hit this. Okay, so first off, our abilities. Our four set abilities are going to be Defendo, Confringo, Glacius, or Glacius, whatever you want to call it, and then whatever you want to use as a purple shield breaker, or if you don't want to, you can replace this with Expelliarmus, and then have all your shield breakers and that nature on your second bar. Now, going into it, first off, we're going to use, this is our like main ability, this Glacius, whatever you want to call it. It will freeze enemies. Now, I've noticed the reason why we take this over a Findo, or Arresto Momentum, sorry, not a Findo, Arresto Momentum, is that I don't think it works on boss enemies. So this doesn't work on trolls, or at least from when I tried to use it, I don't think it worked. It didn't work as good, at least, as this. But also, because this only gives you, like, it just slows enemies. It doesn't really do anything for you. This makes your next follow-up attacks much, much stronger. And this is where you're really going to crank out damage here. Okay, so the way the build works is that we're going to be using this Glacius to freeze an enemy, and then immediately after we're going to hit him with a Defendo. What you could do, prep work, if it's a boss enemy, you could use Expelliarmus. That's why it's in my second bar. So I would use Expelliarmus, and then I would go into Glacius, and then into Defendo. And that is literally just, they're done. If it's a boss mob, you've got your dot damage applied. Then you freeze them and you get a big hit off. You can go back into Confringo and light them on fire for more dot damage. And you could do that first if you wanted to, but I like the one-shot, or at least one-shot setup start first. So let's go over talents really, really quickly. I'm going to showcase the talents that I have so that you can see all the different stuff. Now, the only ones that really matter are these three, of course, but in particular is the dark arts and the spells, not really the core less so. So this is going to, your Expelliarmus is going to apply Curse. Now, you definitely want these bottom ones because damage to Cursed inflicts damage to all cursed enemies. So the more enemies you're cursing, you're literally damaging all enemies across. As you can see, it does a lot of good AoE damage. It's damaging enemies in the surrounding area. Now this one, the Stupefy, is also going to apply Curse. I really like this one because I like the shield break a lot, but you don't have to take this one. We also have Expelliarmus, which is going to apply our Curse, and it's going to disarm our enemy. Now, again, you could take and have this on Arresto Momentum, but like I said, Arresto Momentum is already applying a debuff to the enemy, or not Arresto, the Glacius is already applying the freeze ability. It's already applying a Curse, and it's already not applying a Curse, but it's applying a debuff to them. So you really don't need to use Arresto Momentum, and it's just, I prefer it over, but you could swap it out if you wanted to. Now also, if I get Flipendo, I might switch this out for Descendo instead, and put this one in because it does apply a Curse. However, I do kind of like Descendo and the AoE damage, but I probably will switch this out eventually, especially when I get another talent point, and I'm pretty close to level. Okay. Now, onto the main is the spells. The spells here, you definitely want Defendo because this thing just does so much damage. And you also are probably going to want Confringo because this Confringo does AoE damage and kind of seeks out enemies. Now, if you've noticed, I don't think this ability is going to do really well because enemies don't really stack up very well. They sometimes do like the goblins do, but they're usually spaced out a lot, especially in like boss fights and stuff. So I would take Confringo over Bombarda. And again, I might go into Descendo because this does a little bit of shockwave damage. But like I said, I probably will switch over to Flipendo since it does apply a Curse It doesn't do any damage, but you really want to be focusing on your single casting. Now, the only ability that really does matter in the spells category, not spells, I'm sorry, the core category is this ability, which basic cast impacts reduce spell cooldowns. You want to want your spell cooldowns off like as fast as you can. This is a really big ability. The rest is just like fun stuff that I enjoy. Dodge, key stuff, more abilities, and then enemies struck with stupefy, they get charged, or they get remain stunned longer. There's a bunch of stuff here, but that doesn't really pertain to the build. So you're definitely gonna want to go into this because even if you just spec into this point, like this is like the main thing. This is gonna get your spellcasting time up. This is massive. Okay, so now that we're done with the talent points and how it protrudes to or alludes to the spellcasting, let's head over to some enemies and see what we can do with them in some even higher level ones. And I'm on hard mode, so for me it is really like it is a hard battle, or at least like the game is pretty hard on hard. And I don't use abilities, or I don't use potions, so I don't use any of the potions, or at least I try not to. I'm actually gonna head over to these enemies here. I don't know how. Okay, it's the wolf. The wolves I could take out really fast. So you'll see he'll go. It's just a one-shot. And then into Confringo, that's done. Into here, Descendo. We can even throw in that curse. We don't really need to. And then just like that, they're pretty fast to take down. And yeah, those were level 19, so it wasn't anything crazy. I'll end up. Let's try to find. Okay, so now we have some more people here, and I think. Let's see. These are level 19. It should be fine. But you'll see here, it should be pretty fast with our Defendo. Yeah, 516 damage. We're going to get a Stupefy. That'll apply our Curse there. We'll get a Confringo. That'll apply out here. Another Stupefy. Can freeze him there. We can even hit Expelliarmus here. We can get him cursed up. We got hit there. Freeze him. Confringo. And there he goes, 337. So you see, it's pretty strong. Is there more? Heard someone around. But yeah, so it's a pretty strong build, as you can see. And I'm going to showcase some footage now of me fighting this troll, because the troll is like super strong, especially because it was level 21 and I was only level 18 when I fought it. But yet I was still able to take it down pretty quickly, and even like I said, even hit that 1.4k crit on him after using Expelliarmus and then into Glacius, and then into Confringo, or into Confringo, which did a lot of damage. So these abilities I think are really strong, and they're going to, or into Defendo, I'm sorry. These abilities are really strong, and they kind of are like the only ones that really do like the significant damage, in my opinion, and have that sort of AoE that you're looking for in a build. And so I recommend using this build early on, and then if you want to go into the curses, then you can go into the curses, and you can also apply yourself in that manner to the curses. But those do take to level 22, and they are farther into the game, whereas this stuff and this abilities, they're really early and really fast. In fact, a lot of them you can get through side quests, and you don't even need to do the main story, so you can hurry up and just kind of go in and get Defendo and Confringo through the duel tournament, I believe that one is, and then the other one, the freeze ability, is pretty easy to get to as well. And a lot of them, and even if you want to use Descendo again is just my shield breaker, but it's also kind of like my time pauser to allow me to kind of refresh other things around and kind of refresh my rotation. But if you guys enjoyed today's video, I figured I'd feature my ability guide, because I've noticed a lot of videos popping up about high damage builds, and I don't really agree with them compared to what I'm doing. Well, at least what I've been doing I think is a lot stronger. But if you guys enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it. Like and subscribe, and until the next one, deuce.